guy comes into the room, and he asks everybody else but me to leave. And he said, "I'm the director of the UAP task force. This is very interesting, and what I'd like to do is invite you to come on board and be the chief scientist for the task force." And he presented me to both Congress and the White House as the chief scientist of the task force. And it wasn't until he and I both retired within the last 6 months, and we were approved to reveal that we actually were part of that task force.
Interesting. Were they able to shed light on whether we're dealing with a foreign adversary or the nature of what we're recording here at Skinwalker Ranch?
So, according to the charter written in the National Defense Authorization Act, they had to tell us if they were doing something. It turns out it's not us, it's not anybody that we know of, so what is it?
I know a lot of our team members have been really concerned that they weren't actually privy to your role.
Yeah, well, you know, I was bound by an oath and legal requirements. I could not say it. If I would have said it, I'd gone to jail, right? I can tell you now that I'm in the private sector, and I see this as a huge opportunity here that hopefully we'll see assets come available for us.
Well, it has to be reciprocal.
I agree.
This has to be a give and take.
Yeah.
Especially when we're dealing with such sensitive material.
I agree.
It was hard for me to keep information from everyone on the ranch because it's critical that we act and feel like a team. But I also completely understand why the government needed me to keep some things confidential. Thankfully, now that I've left the UAP task force, there'll be no more need for secrets.
I can say from my personal experience here and from what we've uncovered and investigated, this is a hot spot that everybody's looking at, and they wish they had the access that we have on the daily basis to do the tests and measurements.
So, if I'm correct here, it was the work that you started doing here that led to your opportunity to be part of.
That's right.
It's coming from the guy that told us we were all nuts when we first invited
you were
to
going
come
to
out
say
here.
that.
Just saying, I love it.
Dr. Taylor's involvement with the UAP task force, this is, of course, a revelation. It doesn't really change my outlook on his contributions here, but I also welcome any insights that may have come out of his involvement with the UAP task force.
So, Eric, what would you propose as far as experiments?
We've got a lot of planned activities, some of them based in the work that we did the last time we were all together. One of the big findings, of course, was what was inside that mesa out there. And what did we pull out? Metal.
Right? It's an aerospace style manufactured material, not something that happens naturally.
Yeah.
Last year, while drilling horizontally into the mesa,
Wow, look at all the metal.
we extracted pieces of metal from a massive dome-shaped object that the drill couldn't penetrate.
You did the analysis of the samples that we sent?
Yes, we did.
Ah.
And when we had them analyzed at the University of Utah, we found out that they were composed of a mixture of elements that NASA used as a protective coating on the space shuttle. So one of our main goals this year is to determine just what could be buried inside that mesa.
I think one of the ways we get answers to the mesa is to do a different kind of survey, and I'm thinking ground-penetrating radar. So we have a GPR capability that we're going to deploy this year, which is going to allow us to kind of paint that whole area and see down into the ground and see if maybe there is a big void like we've had described to us.
Excellent.
Also, I want to continue expanding the effort out into the home.